Welcome back. Bitcoin treasury and mining company American Bitcoin growing at a rapid pace. The firm recently expanding its holdings to over 4,000 Bitcoin, valued at roughly $412 million. Its dual strategy of mining and at-market purchases driving the stock up 2%, now at $493. Joining me now, the man behind that mission is American Bitcoin co-founder and chief strategy officer, President Trump's son, Eric Trump. Eric, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Maria.
Tell us about the company and how do you make money here?
Yeah, we mine Bitcoin at roughly 50% of the spot price of Bitcoin. We mine each and every day. We're mining out of West Texas. We're using American energy. It's become an incredible company. I mean, Maria, we launched it roughly 8 months ago. We've only actually been listed for 3 months, and the trajectory of this company has just gone parabolic. It seems like every single day we pass another one of the Bitcoin treasury companies in terms of our overall holdings. And I believe in the asset. I believe that Bitcoin is one of the great assets of our time. Historically, if you look back, Bitcoin's gone up by about 70% on average, about 70% year over the last 10-year period of time. I mean, it's been an incredible asset. And you know I'm a hard asset guy. I build hotels, real estate buildings, et cetera, et cetera. I think Bitcoin is the greatest complement to hard assets, to tangible assets there is. And I'm glad that America's finally leading the way in this kind of digital revolution.
Well, it's interesting because the stablecoin legislation was really celebrated. It was very clear in terms of what it will enable. Crypto prices this morning are trading this way. Take a look. Congress is working on passing all legislation related to crypto market infrastructure and regulation. What do you want to see in terms of the backdrop, in terms of the regulatory backdrop here for crypto? And does it look similar to what we saw with stablecoin and the Genius Act?
Well, I can tell you every country around the world, Maria, is sprinting toward it. Asia's sprinting toward it. Obviously, all of the Middle East is sprinting toward it. So many countries are starting to put Bitcoin on their balance sheets. I mean, you see countries in South America that are doing it every day. Every Fortune 500 company, every private wealth fund. So they're all doing it. What I want to see is America lead the way. We have to embrace the financial revolution that is coming. It is here. It's not disappearing. Cryptocurrency does everything better, faster, cheaper, more transparently, and obviously Bitcoin is leading the way, and we have to be the best miners anywhere in the world, and that's why I started American Bitcoin. I'm incredibly proud of the company, but America has to lead the way. And it's amazing. If you go back 2 years, I just looked up the price. Bitcoin exactly 2 years ago this morning was at $36,500, and you look at where it is right now. Wow. It shows the demand worldwide. And you look at stablecoins, Maria, I mean, to that part of the question, we are bringing trillions and trillions of dollars back into the U.S. economy because guess what? No one wants a stablecoin denominated on any other kind of currency. They only want the U.S. dollar. It shows the power of our economy. It shows the power of our country. And you're going to literally capture trillions of dollars that are digitized from countries all over the world that are brought back into the U.S., that are backed one-to-one against U.S. treasuries. It's going to be an amazing thing for the dollar. It's going to be an amazing thing for the United States. And it's one of the reasons we're going to continue to lead the world as the superpower.
And why did you initially get into this? I mean, you're looking back 2 years. Were you considering getting into this 2 years ago?
Maria, I think you know the story as well as anyone. We were debanked by everyone. We were debanked by Capital One. I lost 300 bank accounts in the middle of the night by Capital One for doing absolutely nothing wrong, all because my father had a hat on that said "Make America Great Again," and they didn't believe with his political affiliation. I got debanked by J.P. Morgan Chase. We got debanked by Bank of America. I mean, these are golf courses. These are residential buildings. These are condominium associations. They threw us out like we were dogs for doing absolutely nothing wrong. And that's when I found the amazing people in crypto, and I realized that so many of those banks aren't needed. They're not necessary. They're slow. They're lethargic. There's no reason at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon I shouldn't be able to send out a Swift wire transfer. Right now you can't. I try and make a transfer every single week, and you're trying to push before the 5 o'clock deadline to either receive money or to get it out. How is that modern day finance? You can send $500 million worth of Bitcoin on a Sunday night at 11 p.m. while having a glass of wine with your wife for virtually zero fees. How is the system this lethargic? Why does it take you 120 days to get go through Know Your Customer with your bank if you want to get a home mortgage? It doesn't make any sense. Cryptocurrency is going to fix every single one of these issues, and Bitcoin is digital gold. Bitcoin is going to be one of the greatest stores of value we've ever seen, ever.
You know, you mentioned getting debanked by J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan gave us a statement saying that we don't close accounts over politics or religion, but the fear of huge fines and penalties by regulators do drive account closures. The system needs fixing, and this administration appears focused on doing just that. You know, this is a new statement because of what went on with Arctic frost. You know, I spoke with Devin Nunes over the weekend, and he said that that J.P. Morgan was subpoenaed to give Trump Media and Technology Group bank records. And I just want to point out what has happened with this Arctic frost investigation by Jack Smith, because it looks like Jack Smith got corporate America involved to do its dirty work, right? They subpoenaed AT&T, they subpoenaed Verizon, they subpoenaed J.P. Morgan. They subpoenaed banks and phone companies because they wanted bank records and phone records of Republicans. And another thing J.P. Morgan said to me is that with regard to subpoenas more broadly, as we discussed, we follow the law in responding to subpoenas from the government and will continue to do so. So how do you deal with the issue that all these Republicans were tracked by Jack Smith and they sent subpoenas to corporate America to do so?
Maria, the notion that J.P. Morgan didn't debank is laughable. I'm one of the guys that got debanked. I'm one of the guys they wouldn't bank. I was the guy that was getting the letter saying, congratulations, the bank account for your condominium association, which you might not even own, is hereby shut down and gone. That happened across the board. It didn't just happen to our entities. It happened to our family members. For J.P. Morgan to say they didn't debank us is laughable. For Capital One to say they didn't debank us, and by the way, this wasn't just happening to the Trump family. This was happening to conservatives all over the place. And to say that the government didn't weaponize all of this, look at Lois Lerner with the IRS. I mean, Barack Obama was targeting conservative organizations. He was targeting churches. He was targeting, you know, every conservative cause. So don't tell me that the system's not weaponized. And J.P. Morgan, don't tell me you didn't cancel my bank accounts. And as I've said to just about every senator and congressman, put me on the stand on Capitol Hill, and I will tell that story. I would love to tell that story because the entire country deserves to know what these financial institutions were doing to conservatives all across the United States of America. Yeah. And that's why I love cryptocurrency, and that's why I love Bitcoin.
And my only point is that they were getting bullied by Joe Biden's DOJ. That's all the point I'm making.
Absolutely
is that
they were.
Biden's DOJ,
by the way, it doesn't mean,
and we know what they did to Twitter, too. We know that what they did to Twitter, too. Remember all that canceling everybody's speech? 1,000 people working along with social media companies. This was a full-on attack on corporate America, bullying them to give it up on all Republicans.
You know, Maria, we all know that they're corrupt as hell, the Biden administration. It doesn't mean it's right for J.P. Morgan to do what they did. And it doesn't mean it's right for Capital One to do what they did. And same thing with Bank of America. They should have had some spine, and they should have stood up and said, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. And it only went one way, just so you know. It only went to the right. It didn't go to the left.
Unbelievable. That is just outrageous. Look, Eric, I want to get your take on this government shutdown. 43 days. It is finally over after the president signed the bill to reopen Washington yesterday, hours after the House passed the funding bill last night. Democrats, meanwhile, facing a massive party divide. The lack of cohesion becomes clearer every day. 8 Senate Democrats voted with Republicans earlier this week to end the stalemate, pass the funding bill, and then 6 House Democrats joined nearly all the Republicans last night. But Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is on ice. He is facing growing calls from within his own party to step down as party leader. Watch this.
I think we're in an unprecedented moment that, demands that we consider whether or not it's the time for new leadership.
Well, it's pretty simple. Either he wouldn't or couldn't keep the Senate Democrats together.
Do you think the Senate Democrats need a new leader?
Yes, I do, but that's not in my hands, so that's up to them.
Do you think Schumer should stay as the Senate minority?
I mean, that's up to Senate Democrats. I'm very disappointed in what happened, but that's up to them.
Should Schumer stay as minority leader?
I think what is so important for folks to understand is that this problem is bigger than one person, and it actually is bigger than the minority leader in the Senate.
Eric, it looks like the extremists are taking over the Democrat Party.
Maria, these aren't serious people. You know, they're obstructionists. I walked through Charlotte Airport 2 days ago, and honestly, you're seeing kids lying on the floor, sitting there waiting for a flight that's been delayed for 5 hours. Mom sitting there with them trying to occupy. They're messing with people's lives for no reason whatsoever, other than they can't stand that my father is winning at everything he's doing. He's winning in terms of the respect around the world. He's winning in terms of our economy. He's winning in terms of tax cuts. I mean, you were talking about an hour ago. I think you did a phenomenal job. Look at gas prices. Look at oil and gas prices right now. Look at energy prices. Look what's happening with AI. Look what's happening with crypto. Look at our economy breaking all-time highs. You saw what happened with the Dow yesterday, the first time it ever broke, 48,000.
48,000.
Look at record after record that we're setting, and all they can do is be obstructionists. I mean, how many times do Republicans have to go out and vote to reopen the government? And every single time, no, we're not going to reopen the government because we want to give $2.7 trillion of free health care to illegal immigrants when we have a deficit that is out of control, that is absolutely out of control. And thank God my father, stuck his ground. He was not going to capitulate. The Democrats did capitulate. They were getting horrible PR. They were sinking in the polls because of it. And now look at the infighting. But these aren't serious people, Maria. These are people that are messing with people's lives because they need a counter-narrative to Donald Trump, and they have none because their party is a joke. Their past leadership is a joke. They no longer have the mainstream media of this country, so they feel powerless compared to 2016. And so they act out like clowns, but they hurt a lot of good people in the process.
Well, I mean, it's incredible to me that all that hurt, people working without getting paid since October 1st, the SNAP payments going away, the air traffic issues, and all the rest, and yet there are still Democrats this morning that wanted to keep this going. They wanted the government to continue in a shutdown mode to create as much chaos as possible for the Trump agenda. Eric, it's always great to catch up. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Maria.
All right, Eric Trump joining us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.